Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. Some very important news on Matias Soulé. Roma is ready to present a 30 million bid to Juventus and try to get this deal done. Also, some important news on En-Nesyri. Sources in Spain say that En-Nesyri has basically accepted the Roma move and that on Monday there's going to be a very important phone call between De Rossi, the Roma board, and En-Nesyri himself and his agents to kind of clarify the position he'd have, to kind of explain to him what to expect, and ultimately to try and convince him because De Rossi really wants him. And again, you know me, I've given my opinion on En-Nesyri. I don't think it's the investment we should. It's not the investment we should aim to do. But I'm gonna give you my other version of my opinion on this, and then some important news on Tammy Abraham. Tammy, as we discussed in yesterday's stream, Milan wants Tammy and Tammy wants Milan. However, Roma has made it very clear that the swap deals that Milan has offered to us are not interested. Roma, we're not interested in them. Milan has offered Maldini, Salamakers and Colombo, and Roma is not interested in these players. They either want the cash, no money, no honey, 30 million, or a player which Roma has requested from Milan to kind of enter this swap deal is Noah OKAFOR. It's an interesting name. It definitely intrigues me. But let's get into this step by step. How is everybody doing first? Let me know your Saturday vibes in the comments in the live chat. Obviously, we've got the Euro final tomorrow. Vamos España. I'm not ready to see England lift that trophy. Please, Spain, save football. So yeah, Euro final tomorrow. Great day tomorrow. Wimbledon final as well. Alcaraz, Djokovic. If you're a tennis lover like me, then it's going to be a cracking one. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's talk about this. Soulé. Di Marzio, early this afternoon, has confirmed that not only that Soulé wants us, but also that Roma is ready to present a bid to Juventus. Now look, the situation is this. Juventus are initially asking for a 35 to 40 million bid. Leicester have offered a 25 million bid. And obviously Juventus hasn't accepted this. But if Leicester shows you that if their first offer is 25 million, then we will probably see Roma offering an initial bid of around 28 to 29 million, maybe make its way to the 30 millions, and then slowly we need to find an agreement. Obviously, they're going to aim and go high, we're going to aim and go low, and we're probably going to meet in a meeting point. Roma are really interested in Matias Soulé. There's a big reason for this. I said this yesterday. Soulé is the investment we should make if this is the project. Soulé would be such a smart investment that I would be so happy. He's such a good player. He's so young. And let's face it, 30 million in 2024 for 21 years old, who Juventus don't even have an urge of selling, is good. It's a good investment. And we should do it. Which is why, this deal is getting me very excited. That sounds weird. On a football side, this deal is getting me very excited because I really admire this player. Now, I do think something tells me that the fact that we really want to get this deal done, it suggests to me that De Rossi is considering starting Dybala as a false nine. Because obviously, if you want to start Soulé, then it means that you either start Soulé, Dybala as a number 10 and Pellegrini behind the striker, or you start Soulé in Dybala's position and start Dybala as a false 9. I don't think Dybala as a false 9 would work out. I've repeated this many times. I just don't think it's going to work out. Dybala is too fragile to play as a striker. So I would much rather see Dybala as a 10 and Soulé on the right and Pellegrini on the left and then get a striker up front. And we've got some updates on the striker. But, Soulé is such a smart investment. We should really get this done. The other thing that Di Matteo has confirmed is that out of the two teams which really want him, Leicester and Roma, Soulé has preferred Roma because not only, as we said yesterday, he loves the city, he's great friends with Dybala and Paredes, but he's also understood that De Rossi really admires him and that De Rossi really sees in him the perfect player to kind of build Roma's future around. And the Fredkins also understand this. What I would like to point out here is that because some people ask me, what's the transfer budget? How much are we willing to spend this summer? How much are we gonna spend this summer? What's happening with the budget? What is it like? Are you gonna spend a lot of money? What restrictions are there gonna be? And I don't work at Roma. I can't tell you the exact figure of how much we will spend, but there's one thing that I've understood. And I'm gonna repeat this again because I know a lot of you guys probably weren't here and missed it. Roma this summer is going to spend. Roma this summer is going to spend. But Roma this summer is only going to put the money in investments which the Fredkins see as fulfilling the criteria of the project that they want to build. So if an investment fulfills the criteria of a young player, not injury-prone player, consistent players, sustainable player, if a player, and of course the manager really wants him, if an investment fulfills these 5 bullet points, the Fredkins are going to put the money in and they're not going to hesitate. This is the direction. So I saw a lot of people on Twitter go, it's not possible that Roma can spend 30 million on Soulé after having spent 23 million on Lafy, because I've never seen Roma spend this amount of money in my entire lifetime. And that might be the case because we're used to Roma not spending anything. But the things have changed. There are less restrictions from the FFP. There's less mega pressure from the manager because, of course, Mourinho's pressure was big. And sometimes it's a great thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And now we're in a position where you're not going to see signings like Lukaku. You're not going to see signings like Renato Sanchez. You're going to see smart signings, young signings, sustainable signings. And if that's the ideal name, then you're going to see the money being invested. And this is why Roma is ready in these coming days to offer a bid close to 30 million for Matias Soulé. And I'm very excited by this. I really want to see this deal get done. I really, really admire Soulé. I remember saying this back in November. If I could get one player, this was me saying this in November. If I could get one player right now from the league and bring him to Roma, I remember I said Soulé. I really like him as a player and he's got the talent. It's not easy for a player of 21 years old to carry a relegated team, to try and carry a relegated team. He got double-figure goals, great on penalties, great on set pieces. He's got a great technique and touch. Also, adding on to this, Dybala is not going to be here for the next 5 years. And Soulé's got very similar characteristics to Dybala, and that's where he goes in. So I see this investment as such a smart investment that it's like it would be, I'm not going to call it criminal, but it would be crazy not to do it, especially because he really wants us. So use this to, water down that price tag. So that's something very big. And this week could be a very, very crucial week on this Soulé front. It could be another very crucial week on the Yusuf En-Nesyri front. On Monday, this Monday coming up, there's going to be a crucial, vital phone call between En-Nesyri, De Rossi and his agents to kind of discuss the project, discuss his position, discuss his centrality, and De Rossi is going to tell to him how he really wants him. En-Nesyri is a specific request from Daniele De Rossi. Mourinho at Fenerbahce really wants him, but sources from Spain say that En-Nesyri is more pending towards the side of accepting Roma and playing in Italy. So I'm gonna break this down like this. I will be honest with you and say that the player has got talent. The player has got and has proved himself to be a good striker. And when I kind of build up a negative reputation towards En-Nesyri, I've done for the past 48 hours, I am not attacking the player. I am attacking the investment. I think the investment makes no sense. I think the investment here doesn't follow the direction that Roma wants to go to, and I don't see it as a smart investment at all. En-Nesyri is coming from 3 seasons, where in these 3 seasons, he scored in La Liga 5 goals, 8 goals, and 18 goals. It's a risk. He's got same stats as Tammy Abraham. Tammy 2 years ago scored, 18 goals in the Serie A? Tammy 2 years ago scored, 5 goals in the Serie A? And Tammy right now, last season, in these last 3 months of action coming from that ACL injury, scored 3 goals. I don't see this deal as an upgrade from Tammy Abraham. So why do I need to sell Tammy and get somebody who, this is my opinion, isn't an upgrade from him? I don't think this is a smart investment. The player might be good. The player is great with his head. The player isn't that old, 27 years old. The player isn't bad. But the investment makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. It doesn't make sense. En-Nesyri, look, and let me clarify another thing. If Roma want to get if Roma want to get En-Nesyri as a second striker, GG, perfect second striker. But that's not what Roma want to do. Roma want to bring him in as a first striker. And I'm like, okay, we want to sell Tammy, right? Replacement shouldn't be En-Nesyri. It doesn't take a genius to kind of spot these things. They have got very similar stats. They have got similar ages. I would much rather keep Tammy than spend 30 million on En-Nesyri. Because I read an article earlier today which said that Roma's preparing a 30 million offer to sign him. 30 million to sign a player who is coming from 3 seasons where one was a great season, the other 2 were shit seasons. A striker which is 27 years old, isn't that old, but he's past his prime, because his prime was the season we faced Seville in the quarterfinals of the Europa League with Fonseca on the bench. It was during COVID, where we played in Germany in an empty stadium. That was En-Nesyri's prime, with Reguilon at Seville as well. That was his prime. En-Nesyri is not in his prime anymore. I would much rather keep Tammy for another season, give him another chance, than spend the money, 30 million, which in my opinion is a shit ton, on a player which is coming from some very, very, very mixed seasons. And again, the player might come here and prove me very wrong here, and I would love him to do this. But I'm saying this again, I'm not attacking the player. The player has got the qualities. I don't like the investment. In 3 years' time, we're probably going to change striker again, and that's not what we should do. So, that's kind of the way I see this. The way I see this isn't a smart move at all. This isn't a smart move. There are 4 younger strikers, which are also as experienced as En-Nesyri, which might also guarantee more goals. Santiago Jimenez, in my opinion, is the perfect example. And then I look at the characteristics of the player. Is En-Nesyri somebody who Dybala and a potential Matias Soulé could launch game after game on a 1v1? Therefore, a depth striker, a through ball striker. Is that what En-Nesyri is? I haven't watched many Seville games. This is a question that I'm asking to you guys. If you watch La Liga, if you watch Seville, is En-Nesyri that player? Because of course, if you have Dybala and Soulé and Pellegrini, all 3 very creative players, then if you're a bit smart, then you should try and get a striker who's great on through balls and great on one-on-ones. Because otherwise, you're like, I'm creating a great wall, but then I'm using some shit concrete and the wall collapses down. It's the same analogy. So if you do want to build a three behind the striker of Dybala, Soulé and Pellegrini, creativity, speed, technique, then clearly your striker needs to be a striker which is great on depth, very fast, doesn't always get caught on offside, great on one-on-ones, doesn't bottle chances. I see En-Nesyri as somebody who's more of a box striker. Cross the ball in, En-Nesyri comes and heads it in. And that's my doubts on this as well. Again, these are questions, and if anybody is from Spain, watches La Liga, Seville fans here, let me know, because these are all questions that need to be asked. But again, the other side of the cards here is that En-Nesyri is a player which De Rossi really wants. And that on Monday, De Rossi is going to call En-Nesyri, according to some Spanish sources, and try to convince him. So if the manager really wants him, then I'm like, okay, maybe if he really wants him, I back the manager. But if En-Nesyri comes in and Tammy goes out, then there needs to be another signing up front as a striker. We can't possibly be thinking and starting Shomurodov as a second striker. And the second striker needs to have different characteristics from a potential En-Nesyri. I wouldn't complain with an En-Nesyri-Tammy duo, for example, if De Rossi really wants En-Nesyri. But still, from my point of view, I'd rather look on something else. Right, and then the last thing is Tammy Abraham. So, Tammy Abraham wants Milan, and Fonseca really wants Tammy here. Roma want to cash in. Roma have said to Milan, no money, no honey. That's in simple terms what they said. However, there's one player, because what Milan want to do here is to try and pay less money. They want to try and use a swap deal here with players that are out of their project. Some players which Milan have offered to us are Maldini, which Roma has said no to. Colombo, who was on loan to Lecce or Monza last season, I can't remember well. Roma has said no to that. And the other player which Milan has offered as a swap deal was Alexis Saelemaekers. Which again, Roma has said no to. Roma don't want a swap deal. Roma want to cash in. However, there's one player that Roma might be asking to try and liquidate this swap deal, and that is Noah Okafor. Noah Okafor. I think a swap deal between Tammy and Noah Okafor is pretty equal. Both of them are good strikers in my opinion. Both of them aren't world-class strikers. Both of them are average, decent strikers. So I don't think anybody would really win on this swap deal. But my only concern on Noah Okafor is he played 0 minutes at the Euros and he was always a second option at Milan. That is an alarm. It is an alarm. Because he got 0 minutes at the Euros, and Milan have never really started Okafor. They always went with Giroud and what's his name, Jovic last season. So Okafor was always the third option. Does this mean that various managers don't see much in him? These are my only concerns. I'm not complaining about the player. I think Okafor would fit in well. He's a striker. He can also play wide, cuts in the box. So I think Okafor is a good player. Only concerns here is not injury, because he's an injury problem. My only concerns here is why has he played so little in the last season? That's my only concern. But the other thing that I do want to say here is Alexis Saelemaekers intrigues me. Alexis Saelemaekers to Roma is a deal which intrigues me a lot. I am very curious to see. Because Alexis Saelemaekers, in a team like Milan, with Pioli, who therefore were a team which struggled with quality on the pitch. I mean, when I say struggle with quality, they weren't a massively offensive team. They had their good games, but they were never a consistent team. And Milan never believed in him. Saelemaekers went on loan to Bologna last season and he looked like prime Hazard. He was unstoppable. Saelemaekers has got quality. He's fast. He's a fast winger. He can also play back as a full back. If I'm De Rossi, who really wants to play with wingers here, Saelemaekers is a player that I would look to. because Salamakers really does fit in the way De Rossi wants to play, in my opinion. Again, Salamakers isn't as worth as Tammy Abraham, because even despite coming from an ACL, Tammy is more valuable than Salamakers. So of course a swap deal would mean Salamakers plus money. We shouldn't get fooled and just go, oh, I give you Tammy, you give me Salamakers, bye-bye, close the door, go away. But I also understand Roma wanting to cash in. You know, having a 30 million money to spend and having a 15 million plus another player is different scenarios. 30 million is a lot of money. So if Roma can get 30 million for Tammy who they want to sell, then they can easily reinvest that money in a very good player. Maybe even a better striker than En-Nesyri. So I don't know. There are a few players which do intrigue me in this swap deal. Not Maldini and Colombo. I'm definitely pending on the OKAFOR and Salamakers duo rather than the other one. But OKAFOR is a player which Milan hasn't really offered to us. It's just our request to try and make this swap deal happen. Do I think Tammy's gonna leave? It depends, because I also read Di Marzio say that Milan also are eyeing Fulkrug after Morata, because Morata's going to become a new Milan player. So, yeah, I don't know. I would give Tammy another chance. I've said this already. But, of course, if this keeps dragging on too much, if not selling Tammy means restricting our transfer budget, then I would sell him. You know, I've said this multiple times. I think we burned Tammy. I think we burned Tammy psychologically. I don't think Tammy is going to have a great season, a kind of a 20-goal season at Roma. Not that Tammy is a 20-goal striker, but yeah. Look, I am, however, curious to see Tammy with a potential Dybala, Soulé and Pellegrini trio, because, you know, Tammy's a one-on-one striker. Tammy's a through-ball striker. Tammy's good with his feet. So yeah, I would give him another chance. I would. My honest reaction here is that I would give Tammy another chance. Of course, then you got to match him with somebody who can kind of push him away into second option if Tammy doesn't perform. You can't just keep Tammy, because he needs to feel the pressure of, if he doesn't perform, he gets benched. But who can that striker be? Can it be En-Nesyri? Yes, it can. Roma are leading the race, according to some Spanish sources. But yeah, is it smart? I don't know. But that's it. What about Musa as a counterpart in the Tammy deal? Simon, your thoughts on Salamakers and Okafor in the Tammy deal? Musa wouldn't be bad, but Milan aren't going to give you Musa. You know, Musa isn't bad. Soulé is the perfect profile for this Roma project. I agree. Why do we need Soulé if we have already Baldanzi and Dybala on this position? Well, definitely improve squad depth. Definitely add more quality. And number 3, because in 3 years' time, 2 years' time, 4 years' time, Dybala won't be here. So we also need to think about the future. Present is more important than the future, but future is more important than the past. Not that makes sense, but yes, the present is what you need to look to, but with improving the present, you got to look at the future, because otherwise, this is what we're doing. You only think about the present, get players like Renato Sanchez, and then future, you're back starting. So a bit of both. Hello, Henry Castle. Good. How are you? Imagine Roma Lazio in the Europa League final. Simo, just imagine. I don't want that, mate. I'd rather death than Roma Lazio in the Europa League final. Imagine the week preparing to a potential Roma Lazio Europa League final. You just wouldn't get no sleep. I do not want En-Nesyri. I feel like he won't be good. I would like Colombo, says Jason. Tammy should go looking something else, says Pinnacle. Spain is champions, or all the FFP restrictions lifted. Not all, but a lot of them have vanished away. Is it possible to get Soulé and Chiesa? It's complicated, but I mean, if you pay Juventus, then who stops you? But again, I said this yesterday. I think investment-wise, Soulé is smarter than Chiesa. I do. I really do. And a part of me would rather see Soulé than Chiesa, because Soulé is kind of dying to try and play in Rome. Chiesa's skeptical. Chiesa's snobby. We don't want snobby players. We want determined players. And as Di Matteo said, Soulé only wants Roma at time of speaking. And that's the mentality of players we need. Am I crazy for not wanting En-Nesyri? No, you're not, mate. I'm not a big fan of him either. I think he'll be your second striker. We still invest big in another good striker. Well, yeah, but 30 million on one striker isn't little money. So 30 million on a second striker means that Roma really wants to spend big this summer. Spending 30 million on a second striker means you got to spend 70 million on a first striker or 60 million on a first striker. I don't see Roma do that. I might be wrong, but I don't see Roma do that at all. Imagine if Tammy never got that ACL injury. Well, if Tammy never had gotten that ACL injury, he would have gone to Aston Villa last year for around 45 million. It was confirmed. It was a done deal. But then it collapsed because he got injured. Soulé and Sorloth will be AS Roma's players very soon, says Lorenzo. If Tammy has a decent season, we can raise his price tag. After year one scoring 27 goals, Chelsea was talking about buying him back for like 70 million. Keep Bove, yes. Perfect striker for us would be Morata, says Vincent. If En-Nesyri can head, then our wingers have to give a ball like that. No Seville fans will watch a Roma fan channel. And no Roma fan channel. And no Roma fans are going to watch Seville fan channels. Let's switch the cards here as well. I wouldn't mind OKAFOR and some cash. Zirkzey's playstyle is a bit similar to Totti when he played as centre front. What do you think about Samuel Dal to Roma? Yeah, it should happen. It should happen. It should happen. It's basically a done deal. Fabrizio said it was a done deal like yesterday or 2 days ago. What do you think our position for the end next season with this squad, with this current squad of the 13th of July, 6th, 7th, maybe even 8th? We've got nobody right now. You can't really ask that question now. Ask that question when the season starts and when the transfer window ends. Would you rather get Depay instead of En-Nesyri? Yeah, I would. But Depay is injury prone. In terms of consistency, then it's better to get En-Nesyri. Depay's good, but I always saw Depay as a second striker. Now, not that Depay's going to come here and be a second striker, but yeah, no, look, I'd rather get Depay, but Depay's injury prone, and I don't think we should have a first striker who's injury prone. Sorloth is the best striker for us. Watch his games. He scored 23 goals and 6 assists in La Liga. Samuel Dal is very fast, like Spina, and attacks a lot. Watch his highlights. I like him. He will be your gem together with Soulé. We will get a lot of money from this duo. Bella Federico, would you rather get En-Nesyri? Yeah. Bro Milan are stacked at squad depth. I'm from Sweden and I watch the Swedish league and I can tell you he's a big talent. Thank you very much. Simo, what do you think of Como? Como are interesting. They're building a very old team though. They, Varane, Alberto Moreno, Belotti. It's not a young team. I'm not sure how much they can resist. But it's, they've got the money. I don't think they're going to get relegated next season. I think they're here to stay. They're not here to be a yo-yo team. They're definitely here to stay. And they've got all the money they can to make a team that is kind of non-relegation-less. So that is it. Right, I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like on this video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the like if you're watching live or not. It does support the channel a lot, so please do it. I know I always say this. I know I'm boring and I repeat myself, but please do it. I know I'm boring, but it supports all of us so much and it makes this channel continue. So do hit the like. Let me know your thoughts. Hopefully something happens this weekend. And definitely something next week. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. And Euro final tomorrow. Vamo. Let me just read a few last comments. I would rather keep Tammy. Imagine Tammy's from another club. We would be excited about getting him even in this condition. Who do you want Roma to get at right back? Bellanova, Cancelo or Terracciano? Cancelo. But when are we ever going to get Cancelo, mate? Do you think we can win the Europa League this year? Yes, we are going to win the Europa League. I've been saying this since 3 months now. What do you think about Ola Sobakin and all the other deadwood like Kumbula and Shomurodov? Loan, keep, sell. Sobakin, loan or second option, like substitution level replacement. Kumbula, sell. Shomurodov, sell. I would rather keep Tammy instead of buying Soloth and get a striker for less, says Mark. Interesting. Talk to you soon. Take care. Simo out.